Most people think that building world-changing technology is all about being clinically correct, right? Getting the logic perfect, the math just so. But what if I told you the real secret to true innovation wasn't found in a textbook at all, but in a violin lesson? That insight right there comes from Alexandr Wang. And yeah, he happens to be the world's youngest self-made billionaire. He realized you can do everything perfectly, hit every single note, but if there's no emotion, no story, something's missing. And that one idea, it's the key to understanding his company, Scale AI, and how it's now powering some of the most ambitious AI projects on the entire planet.
So let's get into it. The violin lesson, a different way of thinking. You gotta wonder, how does a tech founder even get this kind of perspective? Well, it all starts back in Los Alamos, New Mexico. Wang grew up completely surrounded by scientists. Both his parents were physicists. He was raised in a world that was, very clearly defined by right and wrong answers.
So on one side, you have this very black and white world of science he grew up in. But on the other side, there was the world of his violin lessons. And that taught him a much more powerful lesson. That sometimes it's not about being technically perfect. It's about how you make people feel. And that tiny piece of nuance, well, it would end up changing absolutely everything for him. Okay, so now we get to AI's hidden problem. And this is all about seeing what other people missed. Because that perspective, that lesson, it followed him right into his professional life. Wang was so impatient to start building things that he left high school early, worked in Silicon Valley, and then eventually dropped out of MIT to found Scale AI. And he saw this fundamental problem in the AI gold rush that almost everyone else was just treating like an afterthought. And that problem has a name: the data bottleneck. Look, we all hear about AI like it's some kind of magic. But the truth is, even the most powerful, brilliant algorithms are totally useless without massive amounts of high-quality data to learn from. This was the single biggest and maybe most unglamorous barrier holding the entire industry back.
So while most companies were racing to build bigger and better algorithms, they treated data as, well, a chore. It was this expensive, difficult, and super messy afterthought. But Wang's unique perspective was seeing data as the core problem that had to be solved first, before anything else.
And this was not just some small idea. Focusing on the hard problem first has let Scale AI raise over $600 million. I mean, that level of investment isn't just a check. It was a huge bet on a fundamentally different way of thinking about software. It's a philosophy that goes right back to that violin lesson. Which brings us right back to that core idea: programming with judgment. This is about teaching computers to understand nuance. Wang's whole approach represents this major shift in how we even think about programming. It's a move away from simple instructions and towards something much more complex and, frankly, much more human. Think about it like this. For decades, traditional programming was just about giving a computer very simple black and white instructions. If this, then that. But AI is totally different. It's about programming with judgment, with reasoning. It's about teaching a machine to have a nuanced understanding of the world, kind of like how a musician learns to interpret the emotion in the notes on a page. And because of this whole new paradigm, an AI system can suddenly look at a photo and actually tell us what's in it, or it can listen to a conversation and understand what's being said. This just completely changes what computers are even capable of doing. Now we get to the really important part: solving today's crises. This is about the real-world impact of better data. Because this isn't just some cool theoretical exercise. The entire point of getting the data right is to solve urgent, real-world problems. And this is where the work that Scale AI is doing becomes incredibly powerful. And just look at who they're working with. The list of partners is just staggering. You've got major automakers like Toyota and GM, the US Department of Defense, tech giants like Microsoft, and of course the leading AI labs like OpenAI. It just shows you the incredible breadth of their influence. Scale AI actually got its start in the self-driving car industry, and it's the perfect example of an AI needing to understand a messy, unpredictable world. Distinguishing between a shadow on the road and a dangerous pothole, or a plastic bag blowing in the wind versus a pedestrian stepping off the curb. You absolutely need incredibly nuanced data to get that right. But it goes way, way beyond just cars. In healthcare, for instance, there's this massive bottleneck of trained doctors. So Scale AI helps power systems that analyze dermatology images. They automate the screenings for common issues so that the human experts can focus their precious time and skills on the really critical, complex, and potentially life-threatening cases. And here, this is where the work becomes profoundly urgent.
During the war in Ukraine, Scale's technology was used to analyze satellite images of cities like Kharkiv and Kyiv. It provided a stark, data-driven picture of what was really happening on the ground, identifying damaged buildings that on-the-ground humanitarian efforts hadn't even been able to get to yet. It brought crucial clarity to a crisis.
All of this real-world impact really points to a larger philosophy that drives Wang and his whole company. And honestly, it's a powerful critique of where the rest of the AI industry is often looking.
I mean, listen to his own words. Wang points out that way too many smart people are focused decades in the future on these big hypotheticals like artificial general intelligence or AGI. But he argues there just aren't enough people focused on using this incredible technology to solve the massive problems we already have today, problems around climate and agriculture and medicine. So, this brings us to the big takeaway. True, game-changing innovation isn't just about having the most elegant code or the most correct answer. It's about moving beyond that. It's about tackling the messy, nuanced, and deeply human problems that we all face right now. It's about finding the story between the notes.
I mean, when you step back, it's been a pretty remarkable journey, right? From a kid who left high school early to an MIT dropout starting a company in a basement, to now leading an organization of over 500 people tackling some of the world's most urgent problems. It's incredible. And it all comes back to that first lesson. It's not just about getting the notes right. It's about the emotion, the nuance, and the story you're trying to tell. So I guess the question for all of us is this: what's the violin note you might be missing?